What's up, guys? Chris here from Mainely Mesh. Wanted to take you through my overview of the Maverik Centrik universal head. So this head was the second offering, so the head that released last year on July 4th, that kind of took the optic and moved the pocket up a little bit. So they call this a level 4 side rail, meaning that it's designed for a mid-high pocket. Personally, I think it sits more of like a true mid. What they essentially did is they went with a flat bottom rail in the middle section here, and they added more struts, but what's interesting is they actually still managed to cut weight as compared to the optic universal. The way they did that is they cored out these side rails pretty seriously, which, you know, it kept up a good amount of stiffness, but it's a lighter head and kind of flexes a little bit more in the midsection. As far as everything else goes, it really is similar to the Optic U in terms of how the throat fits, how the scoop feels. A lot of this was very similar. The only difference in the sidewall holes was actually, I think they regressed by one hole here, in that they only have 2 wide sidewall holes here, where the Optic has 3. So that makes usually in terms of how our patterns go, our first top string tie on the first 10 diamond row is a little bit tight, and so I wish they would have widened those out a little bit, but it's still a breeze to string. It has some kind of interesting properties compared to the Optic. You would think that this kind of lower side rail and higher pocket would create a whippier pocket if you strung the same pattern as you did in an Optic. It actually doesn't. If anything, it kind of decreases the whip if you string an identical pattern in this head as you would in the Optic, which took me a while to figure out. So as you can see in our stringing tutorials that are going to release soon, we use a slightly different pattern now just to shift the pocket up a little bit higher. But I do think that the pocket naturally sits more as kind of where the level 3 would sit as compared to what they say it is with a level 4. So I think it actually has more of a similar pocket placement to the Tactic than might meet the eye. So it's definitely an interesting option. One thing you'll see about this head is you're going to see a lot of defenders using this head, especially on the pro level. Although it might flare ever so slightly, the additional sidewall struts kind of prevented any of the longer sidewall sections from breaking as much on the top and bottom rail. So you are going to see a lot of LSMs use this head. I think it fits an LSM pocket really well. So if you're looking for an offensive head, this is about as light of an LSM head that I would probably go for, that would still maintain its structure. We've tested it out with a few local pulls, and it just held up really well. So I think it's a head that really suits an LSM well, especially if you're trying to get the lightest head possible on a defensive stick. Here we have a Centrik U with a ball stop on it. Gonna weigh this bad boy in, and it sits at 4.85, 4.9 ounces. Usually when we weigh it, we get 4.85. Yeah, 4.85 ounces. Let me do it this way just to make sure. 4.9 ounces-ish. If we convert that into grams, we are going to see that it comes in at 139 grams. If you compare this to some other LSM heads, the first one that comes to mind, one of the earlier offensive heads that converted to an LSM head, is the Lakota U. The Lakota U weighs in at 143 grams, otherwise known as 5.05 ounces. Really no difference, but the Optic weighs in 4.95 ounces, so slightly heavier. And then another big popular LSM head right now is the Command U, and as you've seen before, the Command U weighs in at 5.25, 5.3, depending on how you angle it on our scale. But the Centrik U definitely is the lightest kind of defensive option as far as an offensive head goes, while still maintaining a good amount of stiffness and a good amount of strength. So definitely something to keep in mind. Only other notes here, like I said, the stringing's a little bit different, but really it is just kind of another continuation of that Maverik line. It comes in $5 more expensive, with the Tactic maxing out the price point of the Maverik line, coming in at $100. So this is a $95 head unstrung. Just another really solid option. And what I like most about the Maverik line is they transition you very fluidly from the low pocket in the optic to more of a mid pocket in the tactic to the higher pocket in the Centrik and then the highest pocket in the tank. So they just have a really nice line, and this is yet another option in it. That's the basics. I'll let you know when we get to the field review in probably a few weeks or so. Thanks so much, guys. If you want to snag yours strung, go to our website, mainlymesh.com. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, the usual. Thanks so much. Catch you guys next time.